If you're sensitive like me, I'm sure that you've been feeling and witnessing that things in the collective are very heightened at the moment. There's a lot of fear, there's a lot of anger, there's a lot of chaos and confusion. And one thing that my spiritual team keeps reminding me is to try to stay neutral through all of this, through everything that is happening, because there's so much going on behind the scenes that we're not even aware of. As God succeeds, is in the process of realizing the divine takeover of this planet. When there's so much high frequencies coming in, like we're experiencing now with a lot of solar flares and solar storms and that sort of thing, there tends to be a backlash of the opposite energies. And so what I keep being reminded is that this is a battle of the frequencies. This is a battle for consciousness. And so although, the media portrays things a certain way, I realize that more than 90% of it isn't true. And so I try to refrain from watching the news altogether. But in moments that I do, instead of focusing on the words and the images of how they're trying to spin it, I focus on the energy behind all of that to try to get to the heart of the matter of what is really happening. My spiritual team also keeps reminding me that we have choice and we can choose to not give in to fear, to not make choices out of fear, and to not let ourselves be conduits for discord energies. And so I refuse to let myself be used in that matter and to make decisions from that space. And you have that choice too. No matter what it seems, it'll all be revealed in its due time. But until then, I refrain from picking a side because our society wants to choose, right? A specific affiliation. But I refuse to do so because things are so much more complex. And I choose not to get involved in divisive discourse that intends to separate us from each other, from our humanity. And what I've also realized is that when I interact with different people, I realize how different my reality is compared to people that I talk with. It's like, and I'm sure you've noticed this too, it's like being on completely different planets because the rules, the structures of my reality are so different from a lot of the people that I encounter. And so it's important for us to focus on what we want to manifest, what we want to experience, to leave the rest to God and to just focus on what we can control, which is what is happening in our own lives and in our own homes. Now, for example, if we want to live a life of love, of harmony, of abundance, of peace, then we can anchor that into our own bodies, the frequencies that align with that into our own bodies. And we can anchor these fifth dimensional frequencies and beyond into our homes as well. Nothing is as it seems. What I've learned is that to navigate these times, it's important to keep an open mind, to have a sense of humility that we don't know all that there is to know, and to be open to things challenging our worldview paradigms. And whenever there's heightened moments of confusion, of chaos, of discord, of anger, that we can recognize it and cleanse ourselves, our energetic field, and do, practices that help us return back to center, back into alignment, and then make decisions from that space of sovereignty, of peace. So I hope that you all relate to this message. I'd love to see if any of this resonates with you. And if you have any further questions, you can leave a comment below. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time.